everybody, welcome to the kitchen. Today we are making lemon blueberry scones. And I have all of our ingredients and our mise en place. We're starting to get ready. We've got our tools. And what do we need? We need 5 ounces of fresh blueberries, 9 ounces of unsalted butter, cold. So I'm actually going to put that butter in the freezer to get it really cold. 2 tablespoons of lemon zest. I've got our microplane zester, our lemons, 6 ounces of sugar, 1 pound, 14 ounces of all-purpose flour, 3 tablespoons baking powder, 1.5 teaspoons salt, 3 eggs, and I'm using large ones, 1.5 cups whole milk, and 2 tablespoons turbinado sugar. So we are going to get everything measured, and if you notice, my recipe is scaled for weight. So that's the most accurate form of measurement, by using a scale. Right here are our bowls and to weigh out everything, but it's not the most practical. A lot of people don't have a scale at home, and what we need to do is also get the measurements for these in cups. So I have my cups here, and we'll convert the amounts to cups, so that way I can include that measurement on the recipe as well. So let's start. We're going to get everything set up, and I'll show you what and how. We're going to start with our butter. And so we need 9 ounces, and I've got it on the scale, and you can see actually each one of these sticks is 4 ounces. All right, and on top of it we have usually a measurement in tablespoons, so you can approximate where it is. So if these 2 make 8, and what we need is 1 more ounce, all we need is 2 tablespoons. Let's put it on and see. And we're just a bit over 9, but we got all that paper on there, so that'll be okay. Removing all that paper will probably bring us back down to exactly 9 ounces. So I'm gonna grate this on a box grater. Now, this is a trick I learned after doing some research into how to make my scones very flaky. I always used to cut the butter into small cubes. So if you don't have a box grater handy, you could cut this into tiny little cubes, keep it in the freezer, and when you're ready to mix the scones, then add them so the butter stays very, very cold. We're trying to do what's called the cut-in butter method. We're cutting the butter into the dry ingredients, and that is what gives the scone that very flaky, tender texture. So it's really important. Your butter wants to be very cold. So I have put these in the freezer so they're rock hard, and then also that'll make it easy for me to grate. So I'm going to get all of that grated. I'm going to put it in a bowl, and then I'll keep the grated butter in the freezer until I am ready to use it. So it's very simple to use the box grater. You hold the handle and you apply pressure and grate down as you're going. Now I'm trying to hold the camera at the same time so you can see. All right, so it's good that the butter is frozen solid. I kept a bit of the paper on the end to make it easier to hold, and I'm gonna grate all of this. So you wanna apply a bit of pressure, but be careful when you get at the end because you don't wanna grate your knuckle. Okay, so you do have to use a little bit of caution while doing this. All right, so that's why, it's a bit tricky to do this. So if you're not comfortable doing that and would rather cut, then you are just gonna have to cut with the paring knife, and you're gonna cut like this, and then you'll cut small little squares out of each one. This is frozen, so I can't really demonstrate how to do that right now. And I'm just gonna continue grating this before it gets too warm, and we'll have these nice, lovely grated pieces of butter, which will be very easy then to add into our dry ingredients. So I'll continue that and then show you the rest. Okay, so we need 2 tablespoons of lemon zest, and I'm going to use this microplane zester. If you don't have one of these, though, you could use the box grater. There is a zesting side on it. And so we're going to grate this, and we need 2 tablespoons. Usually I can get 1 tablespoon per 1 large lemon. So I'm just going to grate that and keep rotating. Do not get the white part underneath the yellow outer layer. That white part, that's called the pith. It's very bitter. We do not want to get that. So you just basically have to keep going along and rotating it as you go. All right, so that's going to take a couple seconds or a minute, so I'll come back. Now when I measure zest, I always pack it in to the tablespoon measuring cup. So use the very packed in, it's not in loose, so you get a lot in there. Now, People vary. So somebody might get a tablespoon, but they don't pack it in as tightly as I do, and they might not have the same amount. So again, this is why weight is a much more accurate. So we have the scale set up, and I'm gonna measure 1 tablespoon of Zest and see how much that weighs. All right, so 1 tablespoon is 0.35 of an ounce, and we have 2 tablespoons in there. So we need to do a little bit of math. So we're gonna double the 0.35 to tell us how many ounces of Zest, and that will be 0.70 ounces of Zest. Now this is important, 0.70 ounces. This is important not necessarily for the home baker, but for the professional baker. If you're gonna be doing this recipe, let's say in a bakery or in a cafe or even a restaurant or hotel, you're not gonna make a small batch, you're gonna make a very large batch. You wanna be able to make, at least 100 scones per batch, and therefore you would need the amount measured out so that way you can increase it and multiply it. So if we made this batch and it yields 20 scones and we want 100, we would have to multiply this batch by 5, and having the weight amount is much more accurate. So that's why we want to have a scaled weighted amount. And then for the home baker, though, we also want to have the measuring cup tablespoon amount, okay? All right, so here we have our 5 ounces of blueberries, and doesn't even really look like it's enough for me, but we may adjust that later on. But we need to get the cup amount. So here I have a 1 cup measuring cup. Let's see if that's 1 cup. So let's pour these in and see how much that. All right, so 5 ounces is 1 cup. So I can write that down, 1 cup. Now I might want to change that. That might not be enough for blueberries, but we'll make this and then see how it looks later. Okay, so again, we have our 6 ounces of sugar here, and I have a measuring, that's a 1/2 cup. So let's see how much 6 ounces of sugar, 6 ounces of sugar weighs. I have 6 ounces of sugar here and a measuring 1/2 cup. So let's see how much 6 ounces equals. We'll start off doing that, and then I can tell us how much that is.